ドジャースは日本時間5日から始まるフィラデルフィアフィリーズとの地区シリーズに向け、敵地フィラデルフィアへと出発しました。第1戦では大谷翔平がプレーオフ初登板に臨む予定です。レッズを下して地区シリーズ進出を決めたドジャースですが、筋金入りのレッズファンとして知られるハリウッド俳優チャーリー・シーン氏が米人気番組リッチ・ライゼンショーに出演し、大谷翔平について熱く語りました。番組の中でチャーリー・シーン氏は腕にレッズのロゴを刻むタトゥーを入れるほどの生粋のファンであることを明かしました。その上で大谷についてユニコーンという言葉でも足りないと表現し、唯一無二の存在として最大級の賛辞を送りました。また今後15年から20年は一線級で活躍し続けるだろうと語り、その偉大さを称えました。このインタビューの内容は日本語字幕付きで詳しくご紹介します。
We got to meet there, and you're such a diehard baseball fan. I'll be honest with you, I had no idea. Your team is the Reds?
Oh, yeah, has been for the last, what's today? Yeah, the last 50 years. Yeah.
No kidding.
How about that?
No,
yeah.
no, and you showed me you got the Cincinnati logo on your right forearm right there.
You can see that. It's a little faded.
So what do you make of Ohtani, Charlie, when you see him, man? I mean, he's we've never seen anybody like him, right?
No, it's when they say a unicorn, it's an understatement. You know, what's the next example or analogy that's more unique than a unicorn?
I don't, whatever that is, it's him, right?
Yeah, an invisible unicorn? I mean, I don't know. Or maybe they're all invisible, which is why we never see them.
That could be it. He's a visible unicorn.
He's a visible
That's the
unicorn.
One.
That's the
I think we finally landed on it here.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's a skill set. It's at a different level.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's wow. And yeah, I think that we are blessed, granted, with this. At least for the next 15 years.
Seems like it.
Maybe 20.
It seems like he could play forever. Certainly, if he's just DHing and he's going to pitch Game 1 of against the Phillies.
Oh boy,
they announced it already.
Wow,
I know he's going to. It's going to be his first playoff pitching appearance. Because we saw last year he didn't even pitch, and the Dodgers went ahead and won the World Series with him.
Yeah, interesting. And because he got injured, was it Game 2 or was it a little bit later? Because he wasn't that much of a factor in that series,
right?
You know,
last year.
Yeah,
correct. He was. Yeah, he was banged up. Now he's ready to roll. It's unbelievable.
But I mean, why not just put him on? Why not just bonds him?
And no matter what.
No matter what.
Well, the issue is there's Betts and Freeman. Yeah. If you bonds him, like it was at one point. I think it was the night that Kershaw finished up his regular season pitching career in Dodger Stadium the other night. That Freeman, it was Betts and Ohtani on the base paths and Freeman at the plate. Freeman knocks in Ohtani and sends Betts from first to third, and there was a shot of all three of them running the base paths, and I'm like, that's $500 million running the paths. Just 1/3 of their team.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so that's why I guess you don't bonds him, is those two are behind. And if Hernandez is going to hit 2 home runs like he did last night,
right,
that's the issue of bond. But it's a great idea. Who would the player be that you would want to catch a home run ball that you would buy out an entire section of a stadium, and obviously it wouldn't be as inexpensive as $7,000.
No,
which player would it be?
It would be 50 or 60, if not 100, right?
Yeah, right.
Well, the problem with Ohtani is the power to all fields.
Right, you can't. Right.
So you buy out like the whole thing and right.
Same thing with Judge. I think Judge can go power all fields.
Exactly. I think a guy you could predictably, or at least hopefully, wind up in the gun sights of his bat would be Schwarber.
I was literally about to say that. The problem is sometimes you have to buy the outside part of the stadium as well.
There's that.
Depending on which stadium you choose.
But the higher you get, the cheaper it gets.
Oh, okay.
So now we're back into the 15-20 range.
Third level right field.
Right.
Stan, I'll start you off with a hard question here. How is the year going for you?
It's like every year. We're with the Dodgers, so every year is great. We're blessed with the passionate and loyal support of an extraordinary fan base in 100 ways. And it's because of that support that we're able to continue to put a product on the field and in the community and at the stadium that works for all of our fans.
Has the season kind of gone as you expected it to go?
No season ever does. We had more injuries than we ever could have forecast. We also have guys coming back at a time that is convenient, at a time that works, because it seems like we're going to be in a good place getting into October. So you can't predict anything about sports, but certainly not about an entire 162 game season. That's just the nature of what we do.
Attendance has been strong this year?
Yeah, we're going to get to 4 million people for the first time in the history of the Dodgers. So if that's any indication of how much our fans are supporting us, we really welcome that.
Let's talk about team building a little bit. I was reminded that at the beginning of the year, focus on pitching. I was looking at your roster, and I was like, all right, you've got 3 Japanese pitchers in Yamamoto and Shohei, although he was injured at the beginning of the year, and Rory Sasaki. Like, they all might be starters, or definitely starters. And then you had Blake Snell, who was injured, but he's a starter, and Clayton Kershaw and Tyler Glasnow, and he's a starter. And then, I was like, well, you've got like Gonsolin and May, and they might be starters. Like, I don't know that I've ever seen a roster with so many starting pitchers. And yet, there were times this year that you were legitimately thin on starting pitching.
It's a truism in baseball. Pitchers break. And if you told me at the start of the year, I've got 5 starters, I would tell you, great, I only need 5 more, and then I have a chance. That's just the nature of the sport. 162 games. I don't know who came up with that number, but that's a lot of games. And that's a lot of pitching that has to survive an entire season. So I think the way it works out, we're going to get to October with a really good, deep, healthy staff. But that's because it took all of those bodies to get us down to this position.
But it didn't used to be like that. It used to be that pitchers could go 200 innings, and it wasn't all that uncommon to have basically the 5 pitchers that started the year be the 5 starting pitchers that ended the year.
A lot of things in our game has changed. 2 generations ago, batters went into the box and swung at the first or second pitch. We had fewer strikeouts. The game is different now. We don't even teach that game. We teach batters to grind the at-bat, to wear the pitcher down. Because of that, we now have pitchers coming out of the bullpen, all of whom are throwing 98 plus. It's a new game, and we have new players playing it in that new way, so we have evolved the way the game has evolved.
But is it good for the game to have 10 pitchers on the IL at a given time?
That's not good for the game or for the pitchers, but the game has never been stronger and healthier, so that's what's most important. We've never had more attendance throughout our sport. We've never had more viewers across all of our platforms. So the business of the sport is really good. We have to definitely figure out the health aspect, because that's a concern to all of it. It's a concern to teams, it's a concern to the union and to the league. It's a concern for our fans. So we're doing a lot of work on that. We have not figured that out yet, but the sport is continuing to grow and thrive.
Are there hypothetical rule changes that make sense?
Maybe. We're expanding our research into all of those areas. We'll do what we think we need to do. One of the small rule changes, which is not specifically about health, but limiting relief pitchers or requiring 3 batters. Okay, that was a little thing we could do. That was at the fringes. We can do more once we conclude what the problems are. And there's still an awful lot of disagreement, even in the medical community, about what can be done and what needs to be done.
Or even maybe what the problem is? Do you think there's agreement on that?
For sure. Jeff Passan, great baseball writer, wrote a book a couple years ago called The Arm. And what I took away from that book, which I've read almost 3 times now, is that we don't know. All that we know, we still don't know. And that's the state of our intelligence on that subject as of right now.
We've seen some very positive rule changes for Major League Baseball that I think has increased TV ratings. It perhaps speaks to the attendance jump. I don't know if you think there are other reasons why this year, besides just the popularity of the Dodgers, but
I think it's a new era with a lot more ways to reach fans. Social media has consumed everything we do, and certainly sports is a leader in what it has consumed. We have a lot of different ways to reach fans and to deliver content to fans that didn't exist a generation ago. That is a big part of it. We have great, new, young, exciting players from a lot of countries that no one dreamed about a generation or two ago. And we can deliver that more, so there are more eyeballs tuning in for that. Social media has amplified.
Do you think that affects in-person attendance, the international? Sure. It does, yeah.
I mean, just the way I think that advertising helps the products that they are advertising, exposure of our game affects our attendance for sure. Also, though, we don't take it for granted. We have invested a lot in the in-stadium experience. We're never going to be a new stadium. We're 60 plus years old, but we can make it a 21st century amenity-filled experience, and that's what we have tried to do. And again, we're going to have more fans this year than we've ever had before. So that is a vote of confidence that our fans continue to express in us.
A couple Shohei Ohtani questions for you. Is there a way that you can quantify the business impact that Shohei has had on the Dodgers? Like, is there a number?
There are many numbers, none of which I will share publicly, but yes, all I can say is it exceeded everything that we anticipated. And we anticipated a lot. We didn't know it would have this kind of impact. But more importantly, not just for the Dodgers, the impact it has had for Major League Baseball. The combination of the Dodgers' long-standing legacy and stature in the sport, combined with this newfound celebrity of the most popular global baseball player right now, has really propelled interest in our game, not just domestically, which it has, but increasingly around the world. And that's a great opportunity for baseball to capitalize on. We've had our eye on greater internationalization for a decade or two. This has really given us a heads up, a leg up on the next thing that we can do, not just in Japan, not just in Korea, where we also have had players from, but increasingly around the world where baseball is reaching out. You've seen all that baseball has been doing in Europe for the last few years.
Yeah.
That is continuing. We have our eyes on the Indian subcontinent because of their affinity for cricket and the similarities to baseball. So this newfound attention that baseball is having because of the Shohei phenomenon, yes, it has impacted us tremendously, but it's been an even bigger impact for baseball.
Another Ohtani question, because you kind of led right into it, which is that you said he exceeded your expectations. Yeah. You tried to sign Shohei, whatever that was, 7 years ago or so, at that point, and he said no, and he signed with the Angels. Then you got to him this time. What has surprised you the most about what your expectations were when you signed him to what actually has happened?
Well, there's two things, two ways I'll answer. First, the business side is obviously it has increased our revenues, ticketing, sponsorships. You look around our stadium, we have a lot of new sponsors that weren't candidates for sponsorship a few years because we have a lot of foreign international sponsors. So that has been helpful. You can't walk around this stadium any time of day, any day of the year without running into a group. And we have 4 different languages for our groups. Every day of the year, we have business coming in. I've heard a number that 30% of the visitors to Los Angeles from Japan make a stop at Dodger Stadium. So those are some of the business things. One of the things we learned after the news broke in Korea about the swindle of his translator was we didn't know all the things about Shohei that we know now. Once that wall came down, before then, we were being told Shohei doesn't want this, Shohei doesn't want that. It really never was about Shohei. It was what the translator didn't want. We just didn't know that. Once he left, all of a sudden, and that wall came down, we realized what a funny guy he is, what a fun guy he is, what a cooperative guy he is, what a great teammate he is. There's not a player on our team who doesn't love him as a teammate, no one who works harder. And a lot of those things we didn't know when we signed him. We were going to sign him anyway, because just what he does on the field is amazing. But we've learned that subsequent, and it's just been fantastic.
I mentioned Yamamoto and Sasaki also. I'm curious, have you learned anything about international scouting or player evaluation?
I was in the league when Ichiro came over. Until then, we didn't know that a position player could make it in the major leagues. We didn't. And it was an interesting thing to watch. Turns out he could be the best player in the game and go to the Hall of Fame, even after a Hall of Fame career over there. So I think it's just more reinforcement that their quality over there in Asian countries, particularly in Japan and Korea, also in Taiwan, they have players who can play over here. We're just spending more time and resources because all of us are greedy. All of us in baseball, we're all looking for the next best thing. And so we're out there scouting more so than we did in the past. But it's just reinforcing what we've known now, at least since the time of Ichiro arriving.
So Roki Sasaki, who was tremendous at the end of the game. If you watch him, the fastball was triple digits. The splitter was just a joke. I mean, that thing would just disappear on guys. He is the closer. Now, can he pitch? He comes from a world where he pitches 6 days a week.
Right, and throws on the third day.
Can he pitch back-to-back days?
I don't know.
Do you want to use him for 7 outs? Is that
hopefully
you
you
do
won't
the up
need
and
him.
down?
One thing that's been happening in these playoffs, and I was very happy to see last night, Dave Roberts let Yoshi Yamamoto go his career high in pitches. I think he had like 115. These managers, all of them, are leaving the starters in longer.
Yes.
And I think that's a good weapon. I mean, Shohei, if he's humming in Philadelphia, I'm not taking him out.
No, I mean, he's going to go. They're going to let him go. And by the way, Shohei's pitching on Saturday. Last 4 starts for Shohei. 19 2/3 innings, 1 earned run, 4 walks, and 27 strikeouts.
Yeah,
in
why would you
19
want
innings.
to take that guy out?
Yeah, I mean, look.
And you've said all along, no. When it comes to Ohtani, you have to listen to the doctors, put him on a pitch limit.
But
none of it.
Everything they did was right
To build up to this.
build up to this,
to prepare
exactly.
him for this. So
100%.
all your restrictions are off.
Off.
Oh, good. So you're coming around to my position on this.
I mean, ultimately, this is why they pitched him 1 inning, 1 inning, 2 innings, 2 innings, 3 innings, 3 innings, 4, so that they could stretch him out. Now, I don't know if he's 100 pitches. I don't know if they go that far with Ohtani, but if he's throwing well, you go certainly as long as you possibly
you just
can to
managed
avoid
the game
bullpen.
like you did last night. Yamamoto gave up some runs early, and those were really Oscar Hernandez's fault.
Hernandez, yeah, those were unearned.
And then Tasker got the runs back later with a big hit. But Yamamoto, once he settled in, they weren't hitting him.
Yeah.
And
by the way,
I was actually glad in the 7th inning he put 2 runners on with nobody out, and I went, crap, Dave's going to take him out, and he didn't.
Well,
he let him work through it.
Very comfortable lead.
Yeah, but he let him work through it, which I liked.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the key. I think I said at the beginning of the playoffs, the most important thing for the Dodgers to do is mash. They've got to mash, and they did in this series. They scored 10 runs. They scored 18 runs in 2 games for the Dodgers. By the way, you mentioned Yoshi Yamamoto. I've got a number on him. He has, in his last 6 starts, he's got a .66 ERA. Last 6 starts, 0.66 ERA. Brian Cohen, what's your take on what you saw last night?
I will say I was very impressed with Sasaki to close out that game. That was one of the things that, the bullpen kind of again, Sheen, yes, that whole thing. But then once Sasaki came in, it kind of put it at ease. It was like, oh, you know what? He should be closing out every game of the playoffs.
I'll tell you,
I'm with that.
You know what I like about him is he's all arms and legs. Do you notice that? I mean, he's
but now that he's got his, he was hurt and it affected his delivery, and one of the Dodger pitching coaches noticed that he was dipping his shoulder to accommodate for the injury, and that was screwing up his rotation. And now that his shoulder's good, he's right there.
Yeah, and he pitches like a closer, that's for sure. And I think these are the 2 best teams in Major League Baseball. To me, they are the 2 best teams in Major League Baseball. Both are loaded. I think the Dodgers get an advantage in starting lineup. It's close, but I would give the Dodgers an advantage there. Phillies have a good balanced lineup. Trey Turner is back. We'll see what he can do with his hamstring injury.
So they have said he's going to play.
He is going to play.
Because he hasn't played in like a month.
He is going to play. The hamstring, he may not be full strength, Trey Turner.
Okay.
But if you look at their lineup, is actually, Trey Turner, Kyle Schwarber, Bryce Harper. That's as good a 1, 2, 3 as you can get if Turner is healthy.
It's not as good as Ohtani, Betts, and Freeman.
Of course not.
Yeah. I mean, I know that's very formidable.
No.
But like last night, I understand why they did it. I don't fault the Reds for doing this. But I said, Mookie Betts is the Dodgers' hottest hitter, and you just walked Shohei Ohtani on purpose.
Yeah.
I understand you don't want to pitch to Shohei, but you just gave Mookie, who's white hot and had 4 hits yesterday, a bases-loaded situation where you have to throw him strikes. I wouldn't have done that.
Out of curiosity, so you would have, in that scenario, pitched to Shohei?
I would have, because of how hot Mookie is, and you have first base open. So what I would have done the unintentional intentional walk.
Oh, so you pitched.
I would have pitched Shohei outside of the zone, see if he would have chased. But by walking him, Mookie knew you couldn't afford to walk him.
Yeah.
And he just sat on a strike
Plus,
and
there's
killed him.
always kind of a, oh, yeah, you're going to intentionally walk that guy to get to me.
And later they intentionally walked Freeman to get to Teo, and Teo's been hot.
Yeah, I mean,
You know?
they have, in terms of what they're doing at the plate, right now they are as good as they've been all year.
Their manager, Dave Roberts, announced that Shohei Ohtani will pitch Game 1 of that DS against the Phillies. What do we expect in what will be the most anticipated start that we've seen in a long time?
Greeny, total dominance based on how Ohtani finished the season. Think about this. In his last 4 starts, 19 2/3 innings, 1 run allowed, 4 walks, and 27 strikeouts. All year, the Dodgers had this long, slow ramp up of Ohtani's pitch count, and man, it has paid off. They wanted to get him ready for October. That's exactly where we are. Look, I know you covered Michael Jordan, and he might be the greatest ever. I know that every time we see Shohei Ohtani play, we have to remind ourselves how unique he is, the greatest baseball player we've ever seen. Everything he does as a hitter and as a pitcher.
Yeah, they come along once a century, like Shohei Ohtani.